Once upon a time, there lived a brother and sister named Hansel and Gretel. Their mother had passed us. They lived with their dad in a hut in the forest. Their dad was trying to earn their living by working as a woodcutter and was looking after the kids at the same time. Couple of years passes, a struggle to jungle work to pay. Their dad decided to marry again. The woodcutter life was, and he had the fact that they were poor. And she had to live in a small ruined hut deep in the forest. Plus, she did not like her stepchildren at all. On a cold winter night, as they were getting ready for bed, Hansel and Gretel heard their stepmothers talk to their dad. How are you going to get through this winter? We don't have enough food. If you do not get rid of these kids, we will all starve to death. Their dad exposes furiously. No need to agree. I made up my mind. Tomorrow we take them to the woods. And leave them there. Hearing all that, Gretel started to cry. Her brother Hansel comforted her. Please don't worry, Gretel. Somehow we find our way back. Later that night, Hansel snuck out and collected as many pebbles as he could in his pockets. In the morning, they all started to walk toward the forest. Their father told them that they were going for a family hike. As they were walking, without someone else noticed, Hansel dropped the pebbles to mark the way back. In the afternoon, their dad and stepmother lit a fire and told them that they will be back soon. They walked off and vanished in the woods. Of course, they did not come back. When the night fell, the horrible sounds of all the wild animals in the forest started to echo around them. Shivering with the horrid sounds of the woods, Hansel and Gretel did not leave the fireside until the moon rise. When they started to follow the pebbles shining in and walk towards home. Well done, Hansel. This was very clever of you. When the kids came back home, their dad was very happy and surprised. At the same time, their stepmothers also acted as she was surprised, but deep inside, her decision was angry. She was very upset that they were back. After 3 days, the stepmother tried to get rid of them again. This time at night, she locked Hansel and Gretel's door and did not allow Hansel to collect pebbles again. But Hansel was a clever boy. When they were walking to the forest in the morning, this time he dropped the bread crumbles in had the night before, and again made the trail the way back home. Around noon, their father and stepmother made up an excuse and went off, leaving them all alone in the forest again. Realizing they were not coming back, Hansel and Gretel wanted to start walking back home. But this time they could not find the trail they left, because all the breadcrumbs were being eaten by the birds. Gretel started crying. For the first time, Hansel also felt hopeless. This time the kids were really lost. With no food and scared to death, they wandered for 3 days. On the 3rd day, they saw a bird white as snow. The bird stripped songs with its beautiful voice for them. They forgot their hungers for a moment and started to follow the birds. The birds brought them in front of a funny-looking house. The house's walls were made of bread and roof made out of cake, and windows and was covered with colorful cream all around. Hansel and Gretel could not believe their eyes. The house looked incredibly delicious. The kids forgot all about how tired they were and started to run to the house. Just as they were both going to have a bite from the house, they heard a voice from inside. Ha 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 ha! Now who is nipping on my house? They looked around and they saw a cute, sweet old lady at the door. When they told her all about what had happened, they felt bad for them, and so she let them in. The inside of the house were very different from the outside. It was dark, scary, and it didn't feel right. Because they were so tired and hungry, the kids did not care much. The old lady brought all kinds of food and dessert for them. And the kids ate food that they hadn't had before. That night they slept on the softest bed they had ever seen. they woke up in the morning, the old lady wasn't there. They started to look around. At the end of the corridor, they saw a small door. They opened the door. They found cases of full gold and treasure inside. They were very surprised. Of course, Hansel wanted to get and take a look closer. Right at the moment, they heard a voice again. And what do you think you are doing? When they turned around, the kids faced a witch standing right there. And apparently the old lady was a witch leading the kids to a dungeon in a house covered with cake and candy. The kids tried to run away, but the door was locked. The witch pulled Hansel by the hair and locked him in the cage. And she dragged Gretel to the kitchen. Your brother is too skinny. Cook some food for him and make him fat. When he is in good shape, he'll be a delicious meal for me. But you don't dare to eat anything. All the food is only for him. Having no choice, Gretel did what she asked for. Formerly, Hansel was a clever and wise boy. He decided to trick the evil-hearted witch. Every night the witch was asleep, he was digging a hole in the ground. In the cage. The witch was controlling Hansel every morning to see if he gained weight or not. But Hansel wasn't eating anything his sister cooked. Instead, he buried them in the hole that he digged. In the meantime, the witch was telling Gretel to cook more. This went on for days until finally the witch had enough. Fat, skinny, I don't care anymore. Today I will make Hansel pie. She turned to Gretel. Look in the oven to see if the dough is baked enough. Although she was in fear, Gretel was also a wise girl, just like her brother. She understood that the witch was going to push her in the oven. I can't get my head in there and see the dodge. Whined Gretel. The witch pushed her aside, stuck her head inside. Gretel gathered all of her strength, pushed the old witch in the oven, and closed the oven door. Gretel knew where the witch was hiding the keys. She ran straight away and saved Hansel from the cage. The flames from the oven covered the whole house. Hansel and Gretel ran away from the woods, but they didn't know where to go. A while later, they came across a river. A giant swan took them one by one over to the other side of the river. The kids looked around, and suddenly they realized where they were. They ran home as fast as they could. Seeing these kids, Father was full of joy. With tears of joy, he explained to them how their stepmothers has gone back to parents' house soon after they had left them in the forest. And how sorry he was for all that he did, and no matter how hard he has searched for them, they were nowhere to be found. The kids loved their father very much, so they forgave him. But another surprise was waiting for his father. But they both reached their hard pockets and brought out gold and diamonds they had found in the witch's home. Their father could not believe his eyes. And the problems that their family had ever had went away. They live happily ever after.